Hi, I'm Omer from Trinity Finance, and this video is all about HMOs and HMO mortgages. So let me start off explaining what a HMO is. Well, HMO stands for House in Multiple Occupation, and it's essentially where a property is let under multiple tenancy agreements, normally 3 or more unrelated tenancies all living in the same property. And so there are lots of investors that like to buy these types of properties because they can provide a higher rental income than your traditional buy-to-let property. But how do you get a mortgage on a property let under multiple tenancies? Well, you simply need to arrange what's known as a HMO mortgage, which allows for those multiple tenancies. If you use a buy-to-let mortgage and then rent it under multiple tenancies, you're essentially breaking the terms and conditions of that mortgage. So let's deep dive into how to get one of these mortgages and some of the things that you might need to consider. So first of all is experience. Now, if you are a first-time buyer, or perhaps you don't own any buy-to-let properties, the funding options to get your first HMO will be limited. HMO is more of an advanced strategy in property investing, and so lots of lenders have criteria whereby they want you to be potentially a homeowner or have some buy-to-let experience to then be able to move up to taking more of a complex mortgage known as a HMO mortgage. That being said, there are a few lenders which are happy with the inexperienced HMO investors, and so there are still options if you're looking to do your first ever mortgage for a HMO property. So if we look at the way HMO properties are valued, this is particularly important if you're looking to get yourself a mortgage on one of these properties. This is a complex area and it will require specialist advice based on your circumstances. If your property is in a non-Article 4 area whereby there is a permitted development right, meaning the government allow and the planning department allow you to take a C3 standard residential house and convert it into a C4 house of multiple occupation without the need for planning, that is known as a non-Article 4 area. There is no restriction from allowing you to move seamlessly between C3 and C4. Then you will typically get what's known as a bricks and mortar valuation. And those types of valuations are the standard way that a house is valued. Typically a RICS chartered surveyor will look at a property and look at comparable properties within a 1/4 mile radius sold within the last 6 months and then compare the square footage of your property to theirs to ascertain a value. It's not a commercial valuation, it's simply looking at what is this property worth as its bricks and mortar compared to other similar properties on the road. Now, if you take a property and you convert it into a larger HMO, 6 or more bedrooms, and you change the use class to what's known as sui generis, which is Latin for a kind of its own or in its own use class, then essentially you will be converting the property from a standard residential property into a commercial asset. And those sui generis HMOs are valued on a yield basis, also known as a red book valuation, whereby the surveyor, the RICS chartered surveyor, will look at the comparable properties in the area, but they will take into consideration the rental income that that property generates to ascertain a yield and value it commercially. And that can be very beneficial if you're looking to get a HMO property valued as high as it can be. Now, there is a middle ground in between those two types of valuations, the bricks and mortar being the lower end, the yield based being the higher end. The middle ground is known as a hybrid valuation. And there are some lenders out there who will allow you to take a C4 HMO, that's a property converted from C3 in a non-Article 4 area into a HMO under permitted development, where that property has been heavily converted. So we're talking about en suites in every bedroom, perhaps some tea stations or kitchenettes in the property, still having a shared cooking area and perhaps drying, washing area as well, where the property is heavily converted into a HMO and would be very difficult to convert it back into a standard residential home. There are lenders that will use a hybrid valuation, which is essentially something in between the bricks and mortar and the yield-based valuation. So it will take a standard valuation of bricks and mortar and it will add some higher valuation, but not as high as the yield base, which will give you a good potential outcome. So those are the three different types of ways that HMOs are valued, and they do determine the end value of a HMO. Now, if you're here on this page and you're interested in HMOs, you may actually be looking to buy a property to convert it into a HMO. And if that is what you're looking to do, then a HMO mortgage right now isn't what you need. What you will need is either the cash to buy that property and convert it into a HMO yourself, or you will need some kind of funding to take you through that process where the property is converted into a HMO. Typically, investors will use a form of development finance, light refurbishment bridging loan or heavy refurbishment bridging loan, which is essentially a short-term, quite expensive loan, but suits some investors to take a house and convert it into a HMO property. Once the property has been fully converted, is ready to be let on the open market, and you are in the process of arranging your HMO mortgage and you need a HMO license, that is at the stage where you'll need a HMO mortgage specific to a property that's already been complete. So if you're here on this page and you're looking for going through that process of taking a house and converting it into a HMO, hop over to the development page or the bridging page on the Trinity Finance website and get in touch with us on one of those pages, and we'll be able to give you some quotes for some development finance. For those of you who already own HMOs and you're looking to refinance or re-gear or just review what you've got in terms of your existing portfolio, this is certainly the right page for you. So I've spoke a little bit about use class of the property, C3, Article 4, non-Article 4, sui generis, these terms that you'll need to potentially understand. I wanted to briefly touch on loan to value. Now, loan to value is essentially the amount of debt compared to the amount of equity that you have in a property. Now, if you're buying a HMO, then typically you would be looking to put down 25% or more as a deposit to buy one of these properties. If you own a HMO already, you may have 25% or more in equity. And so if we're remortgaging one of these HMOs, we will assess the valuation compared to the amount of debt that you've got to ascertain your loan to value so that we can pick the right lender based on your circumstances. There are a wide range of mortgage lenders that offer HMO mortgages. Some of the more vanilla lenders specialise in the C4 space, the bricks and mortar valuation space. That's the 1 to 6 bedrooms HMOs. And then there are some more commercial based lenders that are more expensive in terms of their interest rate, but they are geared up to 7 to 20 bedrooms and above HMOs, specifically tailored to the yield based sui generis use class HMOs. So the type of mortgage lender that we would recommend would come down to your experience, the particular type of property in question, use class, Article 4, whether you have a HMO license or not. So do feel free to get in touch and arrange a free consultation where we can review your HMO mortgage requirements. So the easiest way to get in contact with us here at Trinity Finance is to send us an email at info@trinityfinance.co.uk, or you can simply fill in the contact form here on the website and we'll speak to you soon.